The quotient rule is next. And when you have the quotient rule, you're going to be dividing the numbers or the variables. So when you have the same base and you're dividing, you keep the base and you subtract your exponents. So the product rule, we were adding the exponents. For the quotient rule, we're dividing the exponents. So again, I'm going to show you why this rule works. And this is the rule. I have the same base. The base is A, and I'm dividing, so I subtract m minus n. So why this rule works, if I have x to the 5th on top, that means I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 x's on top, and 1, 2, 3 x's on bottom. So when I cross out what they have in common, the x's that they have in common on top and bottom, I'm only left with x to the 2nd, or 2 x's on top, so I'm writing that as x to the 2nd. Now, if we use the quotient rule with this particular example, if I have the same base, I keep the base and I subtract my exponent. So I'd have x to the 5 minus 3 or x to the 2nd. So it works either way. This is just the reason why it works. So if you do have to use the expanded form, be my guest and use it. It doesn't matter one way or the other. So for this one, I have the same base, y to the 7th over y to the 3rd. I'm going to keep that base, y, and I'm going to subtract. 7 minus 3 is 4. So 7 minus 3 is 4. So y to the 4th is in simplest form. Now notice on number 2, I have x to the 5th over y to the 3rd. I don't have the same base. So I'm going to put, don't have the same base. So I cannot simplify. So it's in simplest form. So remember your rules that we've learned so far. Both rules said that you had to have the same base for you to use the product rule. You had to have the same base for you to use the quotient rule. So since we did not have the same base, we cannot simplify, and it is in simplest form. So this is your answer. You can't go any further. For number 3, I have 5 to the 8th over 5 to the 6th. I can keep the base 5. Now notice that this is not a variable, but that's fine because we're still having exponents, so we can still use our exponent rule. So I'm going to keep the base 5, and I'm going to subtract 8 minus 6, and that's going to give me 2. Now since this is not a variable, I can go further and actually simplify this by evaluating it. 5 times itself 2 times is 5 times 5, and that's going to give me 25 as my answer. So anytime that you have an exponent on a number, you need to go that one step further and actually simplify it and get that one number answer. You don't want to leave a number raised to some power. Now we're getting into some more difficult examples. Notice that we just don't have one variable on top and one variable on bottom. We're going to have different variables, and it's going to start making it a little harder. So when you have different variables, only look at the x's first, then only look at the y's. Don't look at them together or it can be confusing. So I'm just going to look at the x's. And notice that for my x's, I have 8 on top and x to the 1st on bottom. Remember, you have that understood 1 when you don't have an exponent there. So I'm going to have 8 minus 1 because we are using that quotient rule. And so 8 minus 1 is going to be x to the 7th. So if you want to go ahead and write x to the 7th, if you don't want to show this step, that's fine. For the y, I have y to the 6th over y to the 5th. So 6 minus 5 is going to just be 1. Now remember, don't write the number 1 because that's not in simplest form. Just write a y. So anything to the 1st power is just that variable itself. So x to the 7th, y to the 1st, or just y, is in simplest form. Keep the base, subtract your exponents. Now number 5 is a little different. I have fractions. So remember, if you had a fraction, just like when we had the -2 times -2 in the product rule, we're going to simplify this fraction or divide. So I have 9 over 3. Well, that's just going to reduce to 3. For my a's, I have a, and then I'm going to have a 4 on top, a 1 on bottom. Remember, it's understood 1. So 4 minus 1 is going to give me a 3. And for my b's, I have 7 minus 2. That's going to give me a 5. So for my numbers, I just divided. 9 divided by 3 is 3. For my A's, I said 4 minus 1 is 3. For my B's, I have 7 minus 2 is 5. So this is my answer in simplest form. 3a cubed b to the 5th. Okay, I'm going to stop this video and pick up on the power rule in the next one.